Today we're diving into something, well, really personal, deeply human. How we actually heal from emotional wounds.
Hmm.
You know, those hurts that can sometimes leave us feeling like we're stuck, like in a kind of permanent winter without spring, just frozen.
Yeah, that's a powerful image.
It's not about finding some quick fix, is it? It's more like seeing it as this path of growth and really understanding ourselves better.
Exactly.
Have you ever felt that way, caught
Yeah.
in a cycle, maybe wishing things would change, but just having no idea how to even start thawing out?
Oh, absolutely. And that winter without spring idea, it really hits home because often a huge reason we get stuck like that, while we can't even begin to heal, is this sort of hidden lack of hope.
A lack of hope.
Yeah, like a deep down belief, maybe not even conscious, that nothing can really bring us back to life, that, there's no warmth or light really meant for us, or that we won't be met in a truly living way.
Hmm.
And while that feeling might have, protected us from more disappointment before,
Right, like a shield.
exactly, it also becomes this massive block to any real possibility of change. It's like that little spark of hope, the thing that could actually start the healing. Sometimes we treat it like it's dangerous.
Why dangerous?
Well, because just dreaming that things could get better,
Yeah.
it makes you vulnerable, doesn't it? It exposes you to the risk of being hurt all over again.
Okay. That makes sense. So if that lack of hope is the first big hurdle, then it seems like the very first step, the crucial one, has to be actually feeling what's there, acknowledging the wound itself.
Hmm.
It sounds so straightforward, but
Hmm.
why is that often the hardest part? What stops us from just connecting with our own pain?
It's true. It sounds simple,
It-
but our most basic defense,
Yeah.
really, against pain is a kind of self-numbing.
Numbing.
Yeah. Is what let us cope, not get completely swamped when things were tough. But the thing that protected us then, now it actually stops us from mending those hurts.
So the shield becomes a wall.
Precisely. You can't really heal something you don't consciously recognize, something you pretend isn't there. As long as we're denying our wounds, pushing them down deep, well, they can't start to heal. They can't become part of our past. They stay stuck in the present.
Okay. So how do we start recognizing them?
Well, thankfully, our own emotions can kind of guide us. Feelings like shame or fear, guilt, humiliation, even emptiness, or just feeling really exposed.
Those uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah, exactly. They often signal that we're getting close to that untouched wound. So recognizing those feelings, actually letting ourselves see them, that's the first really brave step. It lets the healing begin.
So it's about listening to those signals.
It is. It's about letting that unconscious hurt become conscious. Maybe just whispering to yourself, okay, yes, I am wounded. Yes, I'm still bleeding a little.
So if you, listening, have ever felt those uncomfortable things bubbling up, that knot in your stomach maybe, or that sudden flush of heat maybe, know that they might actually be trying to tell you something really important.
Something vital.
Something you've maybe been shielding yourself from without even realizing it. It takes a different kind of courage, doesn't it? To just look towards that warmth, that light, even if it's just a tiny glimpse.
It really does. It's a huge internal shift, just allowing that inner conversation to even start.
Okay, so once that feeling is acknowledged, what happens then? Because I imagine that leads to the next stage, which sounds frankly terrifying, expressing the pain.
Right.
Especially if that pain was so huge in the past that it felt like it just stole your senses or your breath.
You're absolutely right. It's a massive step. Once we let ourselves really feel the wound, it often means, well, these waves of pain can start coming up.
Waves that have been held back.
Exactly. Pain that's been suppressed maybe for years, denied in all kinds of ways. And this pain, when it comes up, it can open up these really deeply buried feelings, like intense anger, maybe even rage, and just profound grief.
Wow.
So at this point, just restoring the simple ability to cry, to really weep for your own hurts, for yourself, that becomes incredibly important.
Just letting yourself cry.
Yeah. It's a vital part of the process. Because it allows for other feelings to come out too, like a healthy resistance maybe to what hurt you in the first place.
Okay.
And this is crucial, this emotional release. It needs to happen gradually. You can't just flood yourself.
Right. Or you just numb out again.
Exactly. We need to build up our capacity, our ability to experience these intense emotions without being completely overwhelmed. Step by step.
How do you do that? Gradually.
Well, maybe by recognizing it first.
Yeah.
Naming it, feeling it in your body, and just staying with that emerging feeling, even for just a moment.
Yeah.
That helps build the capacity.
Little by little.
Little by little. Over time, it lets us genuinely mourn our wounds, experience the pain connected to them, and accept our own, human fragility.
So it sounds like we need to redefine strength here. It's not about holding it all in.
No, not at all.
It's about building the capacity to feel and express without getting totally swamped. That's a really important difference, isn't it?
It really is.
It's not being strong by shutting down, but finding a different kind of resilience, like building that emotional muscle, maybe, to let feelings flow.
Precisely. It's a strength that comes from honest vulnerability.
Okay. And that seems to lead us right into grieving, doesn't it? You mentioned grief, but it sounds like it's not just grieving losing someone, maybe. It's grieving for what was, but also maybe what never was.
Yes, exactly. That's a really key part of it. What's fascinating here is how that process, the feeling in the morning, starts to show you just how much that wound itself
Hmm.
and our constant need to protect it, how much it separated us
Separated us from what?
from life, really, and from other people. It's almost like we were living in this self-made cell.
A cell.
Yeah, this constant readiness to protect ourselves, this deep down compulsion, it kept us withdrawn, maybe feeling intimidated, and it really limited our genuine connections with others.
Okay, I can see that.
So slowly you start to recognize the walls of that cell. Walls that, yeah, maybe they shielded you from outside threats, but they also trapped you for a long time with your own fears, your own projections.
Wow.
This is often when you really start to feel how much you condemned yourself to a kind of loneliness and the huge personal cost you paid for it.
That sounds painful in itself.
It is, but it's also freeing. You start letting go of illusions about yourself, seeing how much energy you poured into things that didn't really help you thrive.
Right.
And then often this really profound realization can emerge. It's like
Yeah.
you see that not only have I been wounded, but I also sometimes wounded others.
Oh.
And even those who wounded me, they were wounded too.
Seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. That wider perspective helps break you free from that cell of your own fears and accusations. A cell that maybe felt safe, but was ultimately so limiting.
That image of the cell is really powerful. And the idea that seeing our own capacity to wound and the woundedness in others who hurt us, that can be freeing. It really shifts things, doesn't it? It lets you step out.
And it absolutely does. It opens up a much wider view of, well, reality.
Okay, so from there, from seeing outside the cell, we move to what feels like a really pivotal moment, integrating the wound,
Yeah.
making it part of who you are, not just something you're constantly fighting or hiding.
Yes.
So moving from just accepting it's there, maybe still separate, to actually integrating it. What does that look like? How does that feel day to day?
This is where acknowledging the wound really means accepting it into the continuity of your living, feeling self.
Continuity.
It means recognizing it as part of your physical experience, your psychological experience, not just some event out there you're trying to push away. It leads to this really profound, quiet declaration. This is me, with everything that happened to me.
Wow, that sounds huge.
It is. And it often involves really connecting with your own body, noticing its tensions, maybe blockages, subtle feelings, and using that physical reality to feel and experience yourself. Because it's hard to deny what your body feels, right?
True.
It makes it much harder to deny that wounded part of you, the fragile part, maybe the disoriented or needy part.
Okay.
And this is also where you might get to this incredibly moving moment
Huh.
where you're ready to truly see that wounded child inside you, to really look them in the eye and finally offer this heartfelt, genuine apology.
An apology to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like say, I'm so sorry. I will take care of you now. I will stay. You will never be alone again.
Oh, wow.
This act of self-forgiveness, it's central because it doesn't depend on getting apologies from other people, which, let's be honest, might never come.
Right. You can't wait for that.
You can't. So this is a profound act of self-acceptance. It's like coming home to yourself.
It really sounds like true liberation comes from that self-forgiveness, like you said, detaching it from needing someone else to say sorry. But how do you actually do that? How do you cultivate that when maybe you still really want or even need that external apology?
It comes from that internal shift, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Realizing that you have the power to offer yourself the very thing you've been longing for from outside. It's like giving yourself an internal embrace.
An internal embrace. I like that. So after this huge step, this self-acceptance, acknowledging this is me with everything that happened, what happens next? What new strengths or abilities open up? What shifts inside?
This is where things get really transformative. It's the moment where connecting with your own body and its own life force, its vitality, becomes your greatest support, your new internal compass.
A compass, okay.
The whole healing process, you see, has led you out of that dark, confined cell and into the light. And the clarity you get, It'd be fascinating, maybe even a bit overwhelming at first, like stepping into bright sun after ages in the dark.
I can imagine.
But the absolute core, the most moving moment, is realizing I have myself.
I have
It's
myself.
like literally placing your hands on yourself, feeling your own breath, your heartbeat, your unique vibration. You access this deep physical connection. Your body becomes your most reliable guide.
How so?
It helps you recognize what truly belongs to you, what feels genuinely good for you. And this physical connection gives you access to this new source of vitality. It often really surprises people.
Vitality, like energy.
Yes, energy, aliveness. What's often really unexpected is that while we were busy numbing the pain, we didn't realize we were also numbing joy.
Oh, all right.
So now, as those frozen areas start to thaw, suddenly you have access to feelings of fulfillment, simple pleasure in just being, a profound sense of being alive.
That makes so much sense.
And the realization that echoes inside is something like, this is me, these are my scars, I can feel them, I can step out of the shadows, I
Oh.
have myself, I am alive.
Wow. That shift from just getting by, surviving, to actually fully living, it sounds like reclaiming a whole range of experiences. What's often the most surprising thing people rediscover when they start to, thaw out?
Often it's the really simple sensations, like the warmth of the sun on your skin again,
Yeah.
or really tasting food, hearing laughter properly, things that got dulled because all the focus was on the wound, you
Yeah.
know? Like a
Yeah.
reawakening of the senses, finding pure joy in just everyday things.
Okay. So with this new sense of self, this vitality,
Yeah.
how do you protect it? We talked about the cell before. How do you create boundaries now without just building new walls that trap you again? What's the difference?
That's such an important question, because you might think boundaries should come way earlier, right? To protect the wound.
Yeah, that seems logical.
But protecting those old wounds by building rigid walls, that's actually what created the prison in the first place. Those walls, they're inflexible. They don't adapt to real life.
Okay. So what are effective boundaries then?
Yeah. Effective boundaries, the healthy kind, they aren't built from fear. They're built from deep self-awareness. Understanding your own sensitivities, your no-go zones, what really rubs you the wrong way.
Knowing yourself better.
Exactly. See, when a wound is unconscious, it often leads to these unconscious defenses, which might look like attacking yourself or attacking others or just being super defensive all the time.
Right. Reacting before thinking.
Yeah, the fear of pain can be so strong it feels like the pain has already happened, so you react inappropriately. Or the opposite, if you're numb, you don't protect areas that desperately need care, and you let the edges of the wound get constantly irritated or torn open again.
Okay. So how is a healthy boundary different?
True. Effective boundaries are embodied. That means they're a clear no that comes from a grounded living self, from a sure place inside you, not a rigid, panicked reaction.
Embodied, meaning you feel it in your body.
Yes, it's a no that comes out confidently, maybe from an open throat supported by grounded feet, from a body that feels alive and connected, not choked off by fear.
That difference between fear-based walls and strength-based self-aware boundaries, that feels incredibly empowering. It allows for protection, but without the isolation. That's key.
Exactly. It's about discerning connection,
Yeah.
choosing what you allow in rather than just shutting everything out in panic.
Okay. And that leads us then to what feels like maybe the final step, and maybe the riskiest one, engaging with others after all this internal work. How do you balance opening up again with protecting this newfound self?
It is, you're right, it's definitely a moment of risk, stepping out towards others. Because other people, of course, they carry the possibility of hurting us again.
Yeah.
But, and this is so important, they also carry the profound possibility of love, of deep connection, shared joy.
The reward is potentially huge, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The act of courage here is really about closing that prison door behind you for good and stepping fully into the light.
Into the light.
Yeah, and that light might feel blinding at first, maybe even like it could burn, but it's right there, in that light, that you can meet other people who are, yes, different from you, but also similar. Similar in that they carry their own unique scars, their own stories.
Fellow travelers?
Exactly, fellow journeyers. And it's with these individuals that you can truly heal more deeply, exchange, grow, and finally feel that incredible warmth of not being so alone anymore.
That sounds amazing.
And the connection you've built with your own wound, that deep continuity inside you, it now naturally allows for real connection with others.
And how do you manage the rest?
Well, in that risk of reaching out, your body is still your great ally. Staying connected to your physical self guarantees you have access to your feelings, your internal resources, access to yourself, even when you feel vulnerable.
So you don't lose yourself in the connection.
Right. Because to truly heal and connect authentically, you need your feeling self fully present. So in the end, turning towards others, it's actually a powerful turning towards self-love first.
That's incredibly powerful, isn't it? That the journey inwards, all that deep self-discovery and acceptance, it ultimately leads to richer, more authentic connection outwards. It's like this beautiful full circle. It brings everything back to you and then lets you expand from there.
Wow. We've really explored such a profound journey today. From, acknowledging those hidden, frozen pains,
Yeah.
all the way to finding deep self-acceptance, embracing our whole story, and finally connecting authentically with the world and with others.
Hmm.
This deep dive really offers, I think, a compassionate roadmap, a way to move from feeling stuck that winter without spring to a place of real self-discovery and meaningful connection.
And if you think about the heart of it all, true healing isn't about erasing your scars, is it? Or pretending the hard parts of your story just didn't happen.
No.
Instead, it's about integrating them, letting them be a testament to your resilience, to the unique path you've walked. And it's this acceptance that allows you to live more fully, to be truly present in your own skin.
All right. And when you can do that, you can truly connect with yourself and then really authentically with others from a place of wholeness,
Yeah.
not from behind hidden wounds or those protective walls.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable things to think about for your own journey.